What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Into the Necrosphere. My name is Jackie Smith, and joining me on today's show is going to be John Wilcox, the guitarist for Master's Call. He is also the guitarist and vocalist for Funeral Throne. And Master's Call, if you listened to last week's show, in my humble opinion, put out last year one of the very best demos I have heard in the 30 plus years that I've been listening to metal. The demo is called Morbid Black Trinity. And if you have not heard it yet, then jump on Spotify, Google Play Music. It's on YouTube, and you can get it off their Bandcamp page as well. And definitely check it out. I described it, I think, as the middle ground between Destroyer 666 and Melekesh, and that, in my opinion, is a very, very good thing indeed. So it was a lot of fun talking to John. He was one of those rare interviewees where when you start talking to him, it's like you've been buddies for ages. You just hit it off, and as a result, you'll hear about an hour and 15 worth of beer-fueled shit talk that was a lot of fun to do, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of fun for you guys to listen to. Before we do that, however, it is time for my demo of the week, and I want to give a special shout out to a badass dude named Matt, who made me aware of this band. Matt follows me on Instagram. You can also follow the show on Instagram at Into the Necrosphere. Matt, you can follow on at Senlac, which is SENLAC_1066. And Matt made me aware of these dudes. They're from Poland. They're called Poroniec, I believe is the correct way to pronounce that word, or pronounce their name. They have put out their second demo, which premiered on Black Metal Promotion, and I am going to play the very first song off of that. The style is very, very typically Polish black metal. There is a very strong hint of behemoth in what they do, but in a very good way. It's definitely not like some of the more recent behemoth. It's think of badass behemoth, and you'll know what these guys are all about. But I wanted to make you guys aware of this band. I think they're fucking great. The song that I'm going to be playing is called
Pyszności.
Pyszności. Poroniec with a song called Pyszności, and apologies to anyone from Poland who I have offended with my savage mutilation of the Polish language, but apparently these guys didn't get my proclamation that all bands should be should have English names, English song titles. I'm just fucking around, of course, but yeah, great band. Second demo, as I said, premiered on Black Metal Promotion, so you can check it out on YouTube. And by the way, if you want to know what music to listen to, or if you want to keep abreast of the best new music to listen to, there are only two channels that you need to subscribe to: Black Metal Promotion and this channel. You can, of course, subscribe to this channel on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Castbox, TuneIn Radio, and pretty much any other place that hosts podcasts of repute. Yeah, Black Metal Promotion. If I can ever track this dude down, I think we'd have one of the best podcasts ever. Poroniec also has their Bandcamp. I'll put the link in the description to this video if you're watching it on YouTube. Like I said, fucking great music. You know, for a demo in particular, really, really good. Now, I know I mentioned earlier that we were going to be talking to John Wilcox. Thought I would give you a heads up on what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So next week, I've got Simon from Aversio Humanitatis. Simon is also known as S. Obviously, initially I thought that S is for Satan, but we all know there's only one Satan. The week after, my big guest, I mentioned this last week and said that it was in the offing, and I did mention that because I'm because I'm getting on in years and I've become a little bit more superstitious. I was scared that if I mentioned it, I would jinx the interview and it wouldn't happen. But it did happen this past Friday. Great conversation, and the man in question is, of course, Alex von Mullenwald from Alexander von Mullenwald of Ruins of Everest. I think I've pronounced his surname correctly. Meilenwald, I believe it is. But yeah, when I first started this podcast, as far as dream guests were concerned, this dude for me was it. Top of the list of anyone that I wanted to speak to. All of you that have listened to this podcast for any period of time know how fond I am of Ruins of Everest. So to be able to talk to him about Exuvia and about everything that he's done since the Nagelfar days was fucking great. And he's dropping some really, really big news on that podcast as well, which I do believe is an exclusive. So as much as I don't think that Ruins of Everest is going to be sitting at the top of the as much as I don't think that Ruins of Beverax is going to be sitting at the top of the pop chart or the rock charts at any point soon, for me that's fucking huge news. Anyway, so that's coming up in 2 weeks' time, and I've got a bunch of other guests in the offing as well. So lots of good things coming on your favorite metal podcast. And once again, thank you very much to everybody for their support. Do stick around after my conversation with John. We're going to be talking about some new music, and I am reviewing today a band out of Iceland called Nexion, as well as a band featuring a cast of mysterious figures from all over Europe, at least according to their bio, called The Committee. And then if you manage to survive those two reviews, I will be reading some metal news and talking some shit. I know I kind of say metal news, but to be perfectly honest with you, if you've never stuck around to that point in the podcast, it's basically me using metal news as an equivalent to rant like an old man chasing kids off his lawn. But I find it very entertaining, and I know a couple of you do as well. So that's coming up. In the meantime, let us welcome for the first time to the show, most definitely not the last, John from Master's Call. I had Funeral Throne, for some bizarre reason, had passed me by, and I was listening to the album after you told me to check it out, and I was fucking blown away. I was like, how is this band not absolutely massive?
What, the Threshold album?
Yes, it's such a good album.
How can I put it? We had a great enjoyment. I mean, people get confused to thinking we're still together or not. We are. It's just our drummer Ryan. We're divided by oceans now. He lives in Canada. Yeah. And my friend Jack. They're all like childhood friends where we started from. And he lives in Bristol now. But as the other interview Des mentioned, he plays in Naught. Yeah. The goth. I don't know if you've checked them out, but they are. If you need, I'll send you some links because they're just great. But it was. We were always there, and it's funny, like the last interview that Des mentioned us, because we were always there in the scene and slaving away. I mean, the list of gigs and crazy things that went on, and fortunately, the bands that we got opportunities to play with, they got pretty big. And it was, how can I put it? The first album was, we were very young. I mean, I was 20. Jack and Ryan, 17, I think. Do you know what I mean? It was that long ago. And then we really found our feet towards the Threshold album. But I've said it to a lot of people, we left a lot of ourselves on that album, which is why, you know, for who got it and who experienced it, all the feedback was like really good. It's like, you know, if you said you listened to the album and you got to good, you could feel that in it. It's one of those things. We're never not going to go away, even because I was over in Canada, over in the States last year, doing some gigs, and I met up with Ryan again. And it's always like, we've always got stuff on the pipeline. We're always working stuff. We're one of those bands where the crazies will come and go in the black metal scene. You know, the masks are in, the masks are not in, blah, blah, blah. But we get to the point where we just slide our thing on the table and go, we're still here. So Yeah. You're right about the masks, by the way. There are so many fucking bands now. And I don't hate it, because, you know, there was a period where everybody was wearing corpse paint, and I like that too. But there's so many bands now that have their hoods up on stage. Some of them don't bother even getting the robes. They just have hoodies. Oh yeah. Some of them look like they should be at a fucking Antifa riot looting session. So just a foot forward like that. We don't get me wrong. When Funeral Throne first started, we a lot of people listened to the first album. I mean, we done a demo before the album, which got us in our local town of Dudley in Wolverhampton, the Black Country. This demo that we'd done so long ago, it got us a support slot at the Wolfram Hall, which is up the road from us, supporting Cradle of Filth. And we were all young, and it was like wow. And it was one of those things where in the Black Country and the Midlands, there wasn't a local band doing any kind of black metal. And I got a friend of mine called Laszlo, and he's been living in the UK for like over 10 years. But the first band, as soon as he got into Wolverhampton and he was staying here, he's like, right, I need to find some local black metal. And he found us. And the first gig he came to see us, we were supporting Ragnarok of all bands in the middle of Wolverhampton.
Oh, shit.
It's just like, so it gave us lots of opportunities.
Yeah.
And then when the first album came out, everybody listens to it and they always say, and we admit we were younger, we were like thriving off the influences of the time, but everybody always says, oh, we can hear all the influences when you're creating the first album. But then when we got to Thresholds, it was us. You know what I mean?
Thresholds, to me, the thing that that immediately struck me, and I was kind of thinking, you know, what I said to you before about, you know, why isn't this band bigger? I almost feel like, and I don't want to sound like I'm trying to placate you here, but I almost feel like that album was a couple of years ahead of when it should have been released, because a lot of where black metal has gone nowadays seems to be in the direction that the Thresholds had.
Do you think it had anything to do with the sound of it?
Maybe. I think there's. I mean, it's the immediate impressions I pull away from it it does have a very distinctly British black metal sound to it. In a good way, you know, like if you think about bands like Abduction, Crimson Throne, bands like, you know, bands I like out of the English scene. But then it also has that kind of modern black metal feel, which has got a, you know, intensely dark atmosphere, some of the discordance, some of the slightly progressive elements. And I think for the time that it came out, I was trying to think what other bands or what other records came out in 2014 that was already down that track, and I couldn't really think off the top of my head of anything comparable. And that's why I was thinking to myself, I kind of wonder whether, in a bizarre kind of way, if it wasn't just not in step with where the black metal scene was at the time. Had it come out 4 years later, and had it come out on a label like Van Records or Deborah Morty or Season of Mist, it would have been fucking massive.
Well, that's really nice of you to say that. And I think one of the things it was like when, as Des mentioned in the interview, he's flattering to hear from a lot of people, but they always said great live band. And I think because it took us a while to get the actual album out physically, because we were just destroying those songs for quite some time live before we got it on the CD. But I can't say that was a bad thing, because it's, I mean, man, he got us gigs in Awakening Fest in Hungary. Yeah. He got us to, it's, you know, it dragged us around. And just off the back of the Victory EP, I mean, we opened up for Mayhem down in Bristol when that one festival went completely to put. Okay, Temples Fest, was it? I can't remember. There was a festival a while back anyway, but yeah, and I mean, the bands, it was an exciting time for us. And just to what was going around the UK, I mean, bloody hell. I've said this story a million times, but I mean, even Armageddon Fest 10 years ago, we played on that with the Devil's Blood and Von and Watain and Niflheim. We got that just by the sheer fact of the playing through the trenches as we always did. So maybe that had something to do with pushing the actual release out of sync to a degree. But even bands like Incancestus, Lux Lucis and Dietus, we done tours with them, and it's nice to hear from a lot of those guys that even though we weren't headlining, everybody agreed to let Incancestus headline. It pushed everybody their game up. And they've always, to this day, they keep saying to us, they're like, you know, remembering that tour, because we were just so homed live. You know what I mean? He just ended up that way.
Yeah.
You know?
How did that show with Cradle of Filth happen? Was that the promoter that approached you guys, or did Cradle of Filth select you to open for them?
Mate, you're asking like almost 14 years ago now. It was a local promoter called Toyce, who's is a good friend of mine. I do see him quite a lot. He actually does a lot of work at the KK Steel Mill from Judas Priest in Wolverhampton now. That's great place. That's coming up after all of this chaos stops with the lockdown. But it was him, because he remembers me from my teenage years when we were all going to the clubs in town, the metal clubs and the rock clubs, and getting wasted. And I always used to give him a load of grief when I was drunk because he was just play this. And I think he managed to slide us in there. So it was from playing little local pubs to suddenly the Wolfram Hall, which is I think about 1,000 people, 1,200 people. Like get on stage, do thing. So yeah, it was pretty good.
But so when you were as vocalist for Funeral Throne and frontman for the band, how has it felt for you to make the transition to kind of, I guess, slipping back into the shadows with Master's Call? Because I kind of feel like if you're a frontman, like I can't imagine that James Hetfield, as an example, would be all that keen to take over the guitar from Kirk and go, Rob, you can sing for the band from now on.
No, I completely understand what you're saying. It's well, the reason why that come about is because with Funeral Throne, I was guitar and singing from the beginning. With the Master's Call stuff, this come about because Funeral Throne we had a little gap in the live stuff for a while, and it was I can't even remember the year. But to fill my time, because we were didn't have that many gigs live, because I think it was a time when our drummer Ryan was back and forth to the States to get his working visa and then actually go over there to live. I joined a few other friends, but I joined a band called Necrotoys, a death metal kind of local outfit, and just play guitar. And this is where I met. Well, I knew my friend Dave, who's the second guitarist in Master's Call, but me and him clicked from day one. In the if we didn't have different coloured hair, we'd say with the same bloody thing. You know what I mean? It was just in our performances live. So from then, we always said to each other, we've got to do something together. We have to do something together. And Necrotoys dips away, and Funeral Throne obviously we are still always going to be creating music as and when we can, but it comes to a time where I was with Dave and it's like, right, we need to do something. I've got this idea, and I've got some riffs and I've got an idea, and it's, you say, slipping away from the singing of the frontman stuff, but the idea and the style for Master's Call is, from day one, between me and him, we fashioned it so much to make the tip of the spear so precise as we feel. That it doesn't feel like I'm walking away from anything. This is all a creation thing now. This is like really exciting for us, and we lose our minds creating things. And then obviously once we'd created the songs and figured out where we were going with the sound and what the band was, then we got the rest of the guys together. Adam, our bass player, and Jay, our drummer, and it just we've put it together as a band, obviously. So yeah, I still demo the vocals and write the lyrics and things like that, and obviously with the singing and stuff, it's like, there's how it's got to be. Yeah. So up until it's not as can I put it? It's not a controlling thing. It's just we've done, so well off the back of 3 tracks that the album, all the demos for the album are there, pretty much finished. So it's coming. We're getting there. You know what I mean? It's just so we just got to keep everything concentrated until the final, unleash. So
yeah. Let's talk about that in 1 second. I just want to, at the risk of jumping around, how did the Cradle of Filth audience take to your music? Because I'll tell you what, I remember seeing Cradle of Filth. The one and only time I saw them was with they were Akrakaka was opening for them, and this was back in 2002. So it was It was right before Corentin came out, and I tell you what, that fucking crowd was shell shocked.
Oh man,
like for their first the half an hour that these suited dudes are standing on stage, and Jason was doing the classic Jason shit, pulling faces and doing the fucking.
I've always every single time we're recording vocals, and we end up, if I'm recording the demo, my mate Dave, who's the guitarist of mine, he literally lives over the road, which is great. So when we're recording the demo for the music, and I'm doing the vocals, and I'm going to go real low, he always just make this joke, do the Akakoki face, when he's proper low like that. Just to
it looks like he's sucking up the microphone. It's like,
oh man, but the noise. But I not to diverse too much, but like I say, I'll never forget the first day I ever heard Menstrual Blood and Semen. I just fell off my chair. I was like, what the hell? How did the audience take us? I've seen pictures of that gig. I can remember certain parts of it because it was so long ago. I can't remember certain parts of it, but not the entire thing. But I've seen pictures, and every time I see pictures, I think, oh my God, we're so young. But we were a three-piece at the time. So one guitar, two vocals, Jack, who was playing bass and vocals, and Ryan, a three-piece. And obviously we were shitting ourselves, but we got up and we've done it, and it's a tried and tested method. You get a song or two in, and you find your feet, and you're in. So we went down okay. You know what I mean? I mean, if we'd have had that opportunity with that band again, say when we were just doing the whole Threshold run, we never used to get nervous. It was just the excitement to get on, and that's the bit that I always love about, when a band has got to the point, or people playing live, they've got to the point where it's no longer nerves, but it's just the excitement that's making you nervous to get on. That's the best. That's the best bit. It's the best thing.
I that's one observation I had of the live Master's Call video from Bloodstock.
Like the Spire Cranes one. Did you watch that one?
Yeah. Just the amount, like the level of polish on that, on the. I mean, and I, again, I'm not somebody if who watched any one of the shows that I've done. I don't just say shit for the sake of saying it, but the level of polish and confidence coming off that stage is just fucking unbelievable. And that's exactly what I love to see. I hate seeing bands on stage that look like they're just at a rehearsal. I don't like people smiling on stage and fucking giggling and making jokes and dedicating songs to their mates and shit like that. I want to see a show that convinces me. And like as soon as I saw you guys live on that clip, I was like, "Fuck, this is exactly the kind of shit that I like." I like the, I like the theatrics, but I like the theatrics not in like in an Iron Maiden way, and I get. Like, I think hopefully people kind of take it as a joke, or they laugh at it more than anything else. But they know that my thoughts on Iron Maiden.
I completely understand you.
Yeah, but I like it in like the dark way, like Mortus from Marduk standing on stage, and it's dark and there's fucking noise behind him, and he's like yelling, "London, you fucking cowards!" and everyone's like, "Yeah." That's my kind of vibe.
You're saying the exact thing that we have got. Been through on so many drunken conversations and just burning us up from day one, and I can't. None of us will apologise for it. And you say polished, and there is polished in the sense of too polished.
Yeah.
With metal, where it is, if it's so choreographed and so polished, there's no point in seeing it more than one time. Yeah. In a sense, you know what I mean. You know what's coming, but with the, I presume with the polish that you mean, it's that. It's not theatrics. It's just how can I put it? I've said it a million times. It's metal music in whatever sense. Yeah. It's on the tin. So if you're going to listen to that, the visual experience and the people playing, it's just got to all pour out. I mean, when we've played local shows, there's a lot of bands in the Midlands and the Black Country, and there's a lot of great bands, but it's very much. Sometimes we get put into local shows or local sorts of festivals with a lot of other bands that they're all metal, but a lot of camo shorts wearing on stage and the joking between members and things and too much chit chat, and You're shaking your head now.
No, mate, it's not my game. That I frown upon that.
Yeah, dude. I come completely with you 100% here. But the thing that we never say anything about, there was always one bit one gig that got me, and it was at the Slade Rooms in Wolverhampton, and there was a lot of guys that came up to us after we finished playing, and they were like, "That was amazing, that was great," and we were like, "Cheers," and it's just the faces, and you all look so fucking pissed off, and it was like, yeah, well, this is what we're playing.
That's the point. It's fucking. It's angry music. I don't want to see, like, if I went to the theater. Not that I go to the theater often, but if I go to the theater and I see a play, or if I watch a movie, I don't want someone breaking the third wall all the time, going, "Hey, by the way, just to remind you, this is actually a movie." Yeah. I don't want any of that. I want to be convinced at what I'm seeing. Like, that's why I love Shining so much. For example, like on stage, I mean, Nicholas is a fucking psycho, yelling shit at the audience, insulting people. But there's like a realness to what he does, and I think polish is maybe not the right word. I think it's the ability to take that confidence and project that in the appropriate way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally. I can see what you're saying about Shining totally live. I was a fan of the band, but this is a different story. I won't get into it. But it's too many off-stage incidents with that guy.
I know. I do know what you mean, and I have to say it stretches the stretches the ethics a little bit. But he's still fucking entertaining. I saw him at Incinerate Festival last year, and I was like, fuck. I don't, as much as this guy's a fuck up off stage, he's unbelievably entertaining on stage.
I do agree. Yeah. I won't get into the details of it, but when things go like that to a degree, and it's happening to people that buy your music and your shirts, and actually they see you, and it's in the wrong way. It's like, come on.
Yeah. Come on. I do hear what you're saying. And I think it's an interesting thing. There's always that fine line especially in black metal, I think, between the character you see on stage and the guy that's off stage. Which is why I've always appreciated people like Necro Butcher and Morgan from Marduk so much, because they're extremely kind of sort of clinical and focused on what they're doing on stage and as musicians. But when you get them off stage, they're super cool guys.
I completely agree. I don't doubt with that. The only issue for me is that artists or people in bands get, how can I put it? It was at the Dev in London, for all places. So if you're there and you're getting annoyed with maybe this pub that's renowned for having everybody go there after the fucking shows, and you're gonna end up in an incident there, it's like, what did you expect? You know what I mean? It's like, dude. Anyway. We're digressing. Sorry.
So it was, and without giving the game away. So it was I'm going to assume him getting pissed off at a fan for bothering him at the Dev.
He's just getting pissed off and doing certain things to somebody that's got his shirts on at a place. There was somebody that was trying to greet him in a nice way to say their appreciation for the music.
No.
Yeah, but
that's the sort of thing that, let's be frank, gets you discipline in certain scenes. Like, that's the one thing too. I think sometimes in the black metal scene you don't have it as much. Like in certain parts of the hardcore scene, you can't do that sort of thing. You'd land up in hospital for that sort of sort of behavior.
Dude, seriously, yeah. This is it. I mean, it's extreme. I'm all for it. All the extreme of the scene and everything like that, and it comes in different metal formats as well. You know what I mean? It's all there. And be as focused and be as sharp and ready to do your thing as you want. That stood at the side of the stage, ready to go on, getting ready, things like this. But when you're in a metal pub surrounded by the people that have come to see you, there's a difference. So.
Yeah, agree. It's like in there's a phrase in professional wrestling: marking out for your own gimmick. It's like you believe in your own character. You believe your character is real.
I completely agree. I completely agree. And there's a lot of people that you can tell they're exactly like that on and off stage, and which is fine. And that's it. I can speak for us, myself, and obviously the rest of the guys in the band. Like they say the same thing. We'd save it all up, and there's a bit of a switch that we flick when we get on stage, just to go for it. But yeah, you mentioned about the sort of it being polished, or even just the way we attacked the stage. All of the things we've done, each member in all of their previous bands, there's been a lot of years, and it's none of just because sort of. Certain things didn't become like widely famous. They done what they had to with the releases, but it was just everything we learned from everything, and it was just to keep the level going up and up and up. You know what I mean? It's just, so anything that any of us in the band done like years ago, it was all like, right, it's got ourselves personally to this level in performing and writing and things, and we just culminated it all to this. So, it's.
Have you guys got, or did you guys get any label interest off of the EP? And has there been label interest ahead of the full length record being completed?
There has been interest. There's been interest from local labels and things like that, but there's not too much interest from my memory from like bigger labels. Don't get me wrong, we're going to test the water and send it out. But from 3 tracks, it's landed us a ruckload of gigs. We've got one in Germany, which is hopefully still going ahead this year. Depending, it might get pushed to next year. But we're in talks with the organizer, with Possession, the black metal band. They played in London a few times, but they're on the bill as well. But it got us that gig in Germany. It got us on Bloodstock. It's a hell of a load of gigs in between, off the back of 3 tracks. So it really shifted things around very quickly, which is really cool. So label interest, it's been local, smaller ones, but we very much in-house to ourselves with like it, not in a bad way to sort of say no, we're going to do it ourselves. It's just we are managing to do things ourselves with the contacts from people in bands that we've all accumulated over the years, and spreading it around and supporting it, as well as we used a PR campaign. I'd never used one before, but we used one for the EP, and it worked. It really pushed things. It pushed things online on social media to a point where it was coming across really well. So delivering the T-shirts ourselves, thanks to Dave doing all the hard work with that, and it feels like we could go more and longer ourselves. Yeah. So, but. Definitely, when the album's ready and good to go, we're gonna hit everything we can 100% just to give it more exposure. So, yeah.
I was going to ask about if there's not big labels that are interested in you guys, because if I had to describe your music, I would say it kind of sounds to me like an anglicized version, in the best possible way, of the love child of Melakesh and Destroyer 666. It's kind of got that same like riff heavy rage to it, but with like really kind of not traditional, but distinct, like a distinct English vibe to it.
I was going to ask you about this because, like I say, you mentioned that on the previous interview, and I was thinking this Englishness about it, but I can see where you're getting those bands from. I mean, initially when I first sat down with Dave, and I remember it was at his old flat, and we were just like, I've got these riffs. As a guitar player, he can solo a million times better than me. I'm an efficient solo guitar player, but he can do things that I can't, and I fully well admit that. But that's a piece of the machine in our band that's like, right, Dave, you can do that thing, that's yours. But with me, it's very right-handed. I've been a massive fan of John Schaefer from Iced Earth forever.
Really?
I love, that's where the Spire Cranes verse riff, that triplet right hand, like really, really sort of mechanical setting kind of stuff. I like earlier Iced Earth, but just the first time I heard stuff like Dante's Inferno, and I was like, that fucking rhythm guitar is like, what? And then even though it's not black metal or sort of as extreme, it's still extreme in its own right. And I just get influences from that in my playing. So that's where that degree of sound came from. And then the mixture of our two styles, I can specifically remember when we started putting the tracks together, and I can specifically remember sort of hearing that sounds like us in a weird way. I know a lot of bands say it, but it was when we started getting more of the. I like choruses, not in the sense of just putting a catchy chorus on that sounds like shit, but in the sense of to put a chorus that I feel like stays in your head and is catchy in an extreme genre of music. That's a challenge. The challenge is enough influence for us to even just want to do it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I do agree with you on choruses, and I don't necessarily subscribe to the traditional kind of verse chorus solo song structure, but there is absolutely something about hooks on a song, whether the song is the most fucking brutal thing on the face of the earth, or whether it's a singer-songwriter acoustic track. But I think one of the things that metal did very wrong for a period of time, especially death metal, not so much black metal, but really death metal, was everything was sounded really cool. It was technically, unbelievable. The production was good, but very often it just seemed to kind of go by in a blur. And it's just very, very flat. There's none of those. Like if you think back to, and I keep using this example partly because it's a record I listen to so much, but the first Deicide album, it has these moments where when they wrote that with a live audience in mind. Like the bridge in, or the very famous bridge in Sacrificial Suicide. Damn too well. It's like that is that's mayhem. That
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the break in Deicide just before, when he's like building it up, it's like kill him. You have to have those hooks, because otherwise you just become like every other band. And the thing for me especially with black metal, is that the bar is being set so high all the time by the new generation of bands. If you just some fucking blasty, blurry bullshit band nowadays, stuff that would have sounded amazing to us a decade ago, I think, it's just average. You listen to it and you're like, I'll probably never listen to this again.
I fully agree. You mentioned Deicide. I completely agree with you. And it's the same as, I got the same thing off Morbid Angel and things like that when I was younger, and it was, Covenant, the album thing. Just there's something about. Sometimes the chorus isn't even technically a chorus. It's just the name of the song, just sung in a slightly different way. It's just a one thing pop in the song. But if it's done just right, it's brilliant. It's like one of my favorite. A short chorus like that was Evil Dead by Death. He just says Evil Dead, but he does it so bang, like it blasts out of the song. You want to hear it again and again, and it's already stuck there. And
another great Death hook like that is, and kind of chorus, Pull the Switch.
Totally.
I mean, that just sounds so fucking cool. It's like, why don't you just pull the switch? It's fucking brilliant.
He's just with the slurring and stuff. There's something about that. And you mentioned that raising the bar so high. I fully well admit that the bar's been raised high in the emotion of the sound of all this new music coming out, and the atmosphere and everything. But there's sometimes when just that kick in the face from something as like those things you need. And you know what? It's brought the perfect memory to me. I'm a massive fan of Ascension, the black metal band. Ascension.
Yeah.
Their albums, atmospheric, and just it sounds great. But I have always been a fan, obviously, of Destroyer 666. Now, both of those bands played together in London, and I was with Ryan. I can't remember the year; it was a few years ago, and it was just you could tell by the crowd. I remember Ryan stood next to me, and he looked at me, and he went, "You know what? This says something." He said, "We're talking over Ascension, And when we watched Destroy 666, we had no choice. They just, and it's one in the delivery, the performance, live performance, and two in what you want to scream over, in a sense. And I think sometimes there's so much atmosphere in the music sense that some of these bands actually forget about the fucking vocals. It's there.
Yeah.
It's there as a layer because, put it there, but it's not doing what it to a degree can do as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Destroy 666, you got all of the atmosphere and everything there done in more of a Road Warrior sense. Do you know what I mean? In that way. But when they're going to chant the chorus and they're going to shout it at you, you got no choice. You're going to have to listen because it's coming at you like fucking. Yeah. Whereas Ascension, I love them on CD, but I saw them live. And it was, dude, when Destroyer went on, it was just like everybody, that was it. They just got squished. It was done. It was not in a bad way, but it was just, wow, you can see the difference. If you can marry both of those aspects together, you're onto a winner. You know what I mean?
I absolutely agree with you. And there's been a couple of moments like that I can recall. I remember seeing Behemoth and Crisian on play on the same bill.
Crisian, yeah.
And Crisian, I like very much, but I was not as big of a fan of theirs as I was of Behemoth at the time.
Yeah.
And just because of the way the Crisian picked their set list, they completely annihilated Behemoth. I mean, the fucking audience was exhausted at the end of that Crisian set, just because they picked every one of the bangers. They ended off with kill, Lord Jesus Christ.
I'm so glad you said Crisian because I had exactly the same experience. I was at the Underworld in London and it was Dark Funeral headlining. Crisian were.
I was at that show. That's when they did Motorhead at the end, yeah. How fucking cool was that, by the way?
Yeah, I was at the same show, and I said it. They were a three-piece band.
Yeah.
They still are, but the three-piece band. And it comes to something when, it doesn't matter how long Dark Funeral have been going, and, everybody knows the music and used to it. If you've still... they've fashioned their music and their idea to pinpoint. You hear it, it's Dark Funeral. So in that sense, man, you should be able to fucking deliver seriously live. And I remember being stood there, and I'm so happy you were at the same show because I literally said to everybody, all friends there and everything, I was like, Crisian are wiping the fucking floor with this place. They're destroying the place. And dude, the one guitarist from Dark Funeral was complaining about some guy at the front with a flash on his little camera. So you got this guy that's corpse painted, armor, huge like this, telling the security guy, going, tell him to stop. And I was like, come on. Yeah, come on.
I think I left after about 4 or 5 Dark Funeral songs. I couldn't listen to it anymore. I didn't like... the way the vocalist kind of hangs off his microphone like a fucking extra out of The Walking Dead, and
he's no Emperor just like Magus, Caligula, is he?
No, but there was just like
vocally good, but performance-wise,
yeah. I mean, there was just a weakness to it. That's the best way to describe it. And I think a couple of it hadn't been too long prior to that I'd seen Marduk. And Marduk, for me, like them and Mayhem, to me, set the standards as far as live black metal is concerned.
Yeah. Marduk,
even though I have one criticism of the Marduk live show, and they play too many fucking fast songs. I think they've got so many like great mid-tempo songs. You can see when they play live, like when they do the Blonde Beast, the crowd fucking loses their mind, and then they go into another blast.
I tell you now, that one album by Marduk is Romans
5:12.
There's some the slower stuff on there. The slower stuff, it's just what you need more of that live. You mix it in with the madness of the Blast Beast. That album actually really influenced us, like in a lot of the Funeral Throne writing as well, but not necessarily like the style of Marduk, but just some of the leads and how the leads are done and the breaks in the songs. I remember a lot of albums like that particular album that had an influence on us personally, and it fed out into the music. But yeah, I'm happy you said that about that show and Crisian, because it just it's a strange. As well as Master's Call, like Master's Call, obviously we just do that. It's what we've all individually learned over years of just slaving away and sweating our asses off playing gigs. I can't remember how many gigs it's been in separate bands and in this band, but we use it all, which is, we're not afraid to admit. It's just like, and it's really nice just to see people actually recognise that, even if it's not the same kind of as an extreme scene in the Midlands as it is in London or places or everywhere else and stuff. But you can see that they recognise it, they see it, they get the fire from it. Do you know what I mean? And that's the bit. So.
you've been in the game for a while, though, and as we're on the topic of live shows, one thing I've seen this time and time again. There's certain bands when you see them play, you just know immediately that they've got it. And there's other bands that no matter how long they do this for, they are just never going to get anywhere. They're always going to be at the plateau that they're at the moment. Mastodon's a great example of that. I remember seeing Mastodon on the Remission tour at the Underworld, and there was about 50 people in that venue. And I turned to my friend and I said, I guarantee you this band is going to be fucking massive in a year from now. Yeah. And a year later, they played the Brixton Academy, three nights sold out.
It's a funny thing when you can witness something like that. It's a hard thing to explain. You can see it. It's a strange thing, and it's also very much as well. Not that this is a sort of defining factor, but you really think sometimes like the right time for it to come, because people kind of need. I don't know. There's a gap, not even a gap forming. They've just got something where it's enough difference to other stuff for people to go, we need this right now. Do you know what I mean? We need this kind of style of stuff right now. So it's, it also comes back to that whole feeling of what how the metal scene just keeps revolving around. You know what I mean? You mentioned we're at the plateau of, the bar's so high with bands and the feeling and the music and stuff like that. I truly believe there's going to be a resurgence, and there already is, of the fucking just old school black and roll kind of just, another wave of that and things, you can feel them coming.
Yeah.
Especially when you, like you say, when you see bands like that, you can feel that thing that's coming. It's a strange one.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think I spoke to Simon from Versio Humanitatis about this too. I do think with black metal, of all of the subgenres in the metal scene, that's been the genre that's quietly kind of just been getting better and better, and the palette inside the genre has been expanding. The even more exciting thing for me is just these scenes in different countries, and they've always kind of been around. And I remember the 2003 and 2004, the Terrorizer, Polish black metal special and all that shit. But it's like, now you've got this incredible scene in Iceland. You've got this amazing scene that just gets fucking bigger and bigger and better in Poland. You've got bands like Selpst coming out of Chile. You've got Aversio coming out of Spain. Utkana coming out of Greece.
You can hear the separation, the difference in the scenes. You can hear everybody's. Yeah. I love that. That's a great thing, because from playing like foreign shows, I had the fortune from the guys in Dietus. They asked me to, after a tour I'd done with them years ago in Funeralthron, they asked me to join the band live, and I was fortunate enough down to them that I went to the States and Mexico with that band, and to see, you mentioned the scenes of the music. I love it when you just see a picture and you can specifically tell what scene that guy's from. Like, I don't know, if he's got a fucking black glasses on and a shaved head and a black war metal shirt on, that guy's like blasphemy worship kind of,
Yeah.
The Polish sound, don't you think a lot of the bands, there's some that fly out, but there was a big chunk of time with the Polish scene where they almost may as well have recorded at the same studio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was very, the vocal deliveries and things, and but yeah, I love it when you can feel the scene. I mean, one of the scenes that was there and it's kind of disappeared, even like the French stuff, Hell Militia and like Archon in Faustus and things like that. Do you remember all of those? Like
Deathspell Omega still brought out a superb record last year. Yeah. They have that kind of ritual black metal scene that I really like. Those bands are very, very underground, but like Melpest, Decylum, bands like that are fucking superb. They don't have the profile I think that they should have. But in a weird way with Melpest, I might be wrong, but I get the impression that's kind of how they would like it to stay. I think if they could, they would play all their gigs in a cave.
Oh man, this profile. The profile is, you mentioned like the profile that you think they should deserve, but goddamn, the way the music scene is now with the black metal, there's some albums that I remember having as a kid that if it came out now, it'd be like you got no chance. That it would destroy so much stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, I cannot agree with you more on that. I've spoken to a friend of mine about this so many times, and we frequently will go like the sacred cows, the bands that we grew up with, and the bands that we hold near and dear. So many of their records, if it came out today, it wouldn't even be signed. No one would pay it a second thought because the level to which things are done now is so much better.
But don't you think that, in a sense, like one potentially, they wouldn't pay too much attention, and then on the other hand, some of them they'd be like, "This is phenomenal."
Mm.
You know what I mean? There's some things. I mean, like I don't know. Even the shirt that I'm wearing now, Catharsis. The first time I heard "World Without End," I thought the mouth of hell was opening up. Do you know what I mean? If you've ever, have you listened to this band?
No, I haven't actually. I was trying to figure out what shirt you were wearing, but no, I haven't.
Please don't listen to this band, and I will send you a link later.
Yeah.
And just listen to it with open ears, because World Without End by Catharsis is probably the violentest. It is the mouth of hell opening up as a black metal record. It's ridiculous. It's just on
a par with Anal Nathrak or.
Dude, this is for all aspects of it. This is like. I think that album and their following album, Fourth Reich, is like it's one of the tip of the spears of black metal in its voice. It's just I can't find enough words to.
Yeah,
you'll get it.
Dude, it definitely sounds like it's up my scene. Morgan from Marduk said the best thing to me once about black metal. It was when Plague Angel came out, and he was like, I believe black metal should be about being a fist in the face of God, not sitting by the side of a lake looking miserable.
The side of a lake looking miserable. I'm totally with you. That's a fist in the face of God. That's it's a staple of a lot of metal music as well. And even though it's been done to death, it's like you still find the urge to do that. You still find the urge to like create from that. Do you know what I mean?
So, the thing is, though, as well, it's an escape. I've said this before. I am not interested, and I fucking hate this political infiltration in black metal because I'm not interested in someone's political views when it comes to music. I know that music and art has always been political, but when it comes to black metal, there's there's an escapism to black metal that I don't want to taken away. I don't want a black metal band to start having. I like hardcore lyrics. I don't want black metal bands to start doing hardcore lyrics. I want that escapism, and I want it to remain as fucking grim and cult and necro as it's always been.
The path with that escapism literally starts from the cover, the image you see, especially the older stuff. You're already walking down that path and escaping, like some of the old, some of the old Emperor album covers and things like that as well, and even there's bloody old family. But you're walking down that escapism path already just by looking at it.
Dude, I remember the one of the only pieces of music I've ever heard where I was genuinely nervous listening to it for the first time was Philosophem by Burzum. Like I was 16 years old when I heard it. So I heard it the year that it came out, and all the stories were around and stuff like that. So there was all of that. And then I listened to it and I was like, I'm terrified and I'm thrilled at the same time.
Yeah.
And as you say as well about the magic of something like In the Nightside Eclipse. I remember looking at that album cover and studying every cranny of it and hearing the record for the first time, and it's just like this wave of sound that just washes over you. But to the point that we were making earlier, there's so many memorable moments on the album as well. Like even though it's fast and fucking blazingly aggressive all the time,
there is choruses, there is parts that do the thing. You know what I mean? There is bits like that. I'm totally with you. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Like I think you mentioned Burzum, and sort of listening to that. It's the dark and slow comings in from that. That's definitely sort of making you think, where's this going? What's going to happen? You know what I mean? It's,
have you ever seen a guy named? I'm going to see if I can find it. I might even share my screen so you can see it, so we can watch it together. I'm gonna get this guy on the show at some point.
Okay.
His name is I think it might be Leaf. Bear with me 10 seconds. Okay, here we go. Leaf Reed is the dude's name. He did an acoustic cover of Dunkelheit, and it absolutely fucking blew me away. Hold on, let me share my screen so you can see this. And the thing is, though, it shows you what an incredible song that is. He did a couple of other really good ones too. He did like an acoustic cover of Transylvanian Hunger.
Yeah.
He did a couple of other Burzum songs too, but I mean, just fucking fantastic. So
I can feel where you're going with this, and I've got a similar.
So here's the dude.
Yeah. Definitely the finger picking that makes it instead of reflection. The whole finger picking, definitely.
Let me forward on a little bit to the vocals because he kind of reinterpreted the vocal line as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Hold on.
It's begging for soft vocals as well. Anyway, you could do the same. And
yeah, there we go. Unbelievable. I was absolutely fucking blown away when I saw that.
It's one of those, it's if it had recorded, it sounds great. I can get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And the way he was interpreting the singing differently, you know what I mean? If that was recorded and somebody just probably just their own, my version of this, a lot of people like yourself will be like, wow, you know what I mean? It's also, I've had a similar experience and it's, you know how good the original band is. You know how good what you got off Burzum and one. And I'm going to use the name. And I've seen a previous interview of yours that you said you wasn't too keen on them, but it's completely cool. I am a massive fan of Dissection. So
right. I was, as soon as you said that, I was like mapping in my mind. All right, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Cradle of Filth or Dissection or?
Yeah, but you gotta. For me, I went through a phase of where first time I heard Dissection, I was like, okay, bang. And then you got over them, you know, you move on, but you still come back, but you move on. But I came back even more because I started learning, obviously playing guitar and things like that, but I kept hearing more in the music every time I went back. And there was a guy that covered Where Dead Angels Lie on piano.
I think I've seen that.
Oh, dude, but it's the very first, it was one video that came out way beforehand. When everybody started doing it, this piano was mildly out of tune, but I sat there and I was just like, you can play that to anybody on the piano, to the regular guy down the road who appreciates any kind of music, but sit there and go, that sounds beautiful. And it warrants, just hearing an entire orchestra do any of those songs off Storm of the Lights Bane would be like, you know, amazing.
Yeah. And look, I know I've hated on Dissection before, but but Storm of the Lights Bane, I will admit, is a superb record.
You got to give it time, and then I'll give it time, and then come back to it, because that's what I done. Like, and when I came back to it with a different sort of, something different was burning, and I put it on. It just brought, you can bring tears to my eyes in parts, because it's like, how the fuck did you come up with
So
this?
what were your thoughts? Because this was what I hated Rain Chaos so much that it actually just it wrecked the band for me. I thought it was the biggest pile of shit on the face of the earth. Like,
what do you think now?
I still hate it. Every time I hear it, I think it fucking sucks.
Oh, dude.
It sounds like the first In Flames album. There's like, you know, when he was talking about it's going to be the most evil thing ever, I was like expecting, okay, great, it's going to be, you know, maybe like Gorgoroth meets Dissection kind of vibe. And then I heard it, I was like, what the fuck is he smoking?
I know what you're saying. I completely understand what you're saying. The bit that for me, why I think that album resonated with me and still does, and I keep to me, it's the music. The music's cool. But I kept listening again and hearing more things. But there's certain sort of harmonies and certain lines in it that resonate so much more with what he's saying in that album. There's just lines in that album that are just like, you know, beyond the event horizon lies the void of our dreams, about black holes and the event horizon, things like that. And it's fucking powerful. It's, you know what I mean? We all had a connection in, like, with me and the guys in Funeral Throne. That was, you know, every time we were getting wasted, that album would come on as well and things. And there's just something about it. I think if you can listen to it again, maybe more in the sort of, you know, the detail of what he's trying to put across and say, and in the right parts of the music instead of maybe the production. Maybe he might hit you a bit more, but if he doesn't, it's cool. I get it.
Yeah, no, dude. I know. I'm always conscious. I don't want to ever come across like I'm too forceful or too opinionated. I know. I get impassioned, but generally speaking, I'm all for people telling me that, no, check this out again, listen to this again, and give this.
But he changed. It's I've got to say, like, you can't really look at that album as a black metal album. It's more of I think it was more of a, for the time it came out and what happened, I think it was a pillar of it was more of a monument, because what he'd done and what the other bands that it affected from its creation. Do you know what I mean? I think it did change the game to a certain degree. You know what I mean? And you know, I mean, it was this other album I'm going to mention, saying it's nothing like the same quality of Ruin Chaos. But I remember seeing the first gigs of when Watain dropped Sworn to the Dark. That was a game changer album. It was suddenly the sound and the ideas and things like that. It was just a game changer. It affected everybody around it. You know what I mean?
That is true, and I know, even though I'm not a fan of Watain, really, it's a.
It's cool. But
you know what I think was the best thing I've ever heard about Watain. So Liorsifer, when he was on the show, he told me a story about a time that he went to see Watain and Mayhem play together, and the guy that went,
tattoo guy you were interviewing.
Yeah. And he was saying the guy had no idea of he didn't listen to black metal, you know, he had no idea of either band. And he came, they as they were leaving the venue, the dude turned to him, he said, my thoughts on the band are, Watain play black metal because for the sake of playing black metal. Mm-hmm. Mayhem play what's inside them.
I can see where it's coming from. Totally. It was a while ago. The last time I saw Mayhem was at Brutal Assault in the Czech Republic a few years back. And they posted those clips and stuff all over the place. That show. It was fucking freezing cold. It was like fittingly enough to watch Mayhem do that. But it was the visuals, that album, The Mysterious, and then the setup. You know, it's you know what you're stepping into, and they're very efficient at creating that specific thing. You know what I mean? And it is very specific.
Which I fucking love. That Wolf's Lair Abyss intro that they use on some of their shows. With, like, you know, they've got the one, like, just that bright beam of light on the audience, and they've got you hear the fucking Civil War trumpet shit playing in the background. It's just, it's so fucking brilliant. I can't tell you how much I love it.
I fully agree with that. It's got its own possession of itself. It's just but I tell you what though, Blasphemer, the old guitarist, the day I heard, I got to say, I'm a massive fan of the Chimera album.
I like it too.
And that front cover by itself is just, it's haunting. You know, the demon out of that old black and white film, and then like Blasphemer's guitars in that are phenomenal, and it's like just the power of it. But they're a funny band. They're just going here, there, and everywhere in their own way. It's a strange thing, but
Telok has written most of the more recent stuff. So he wrote most of Esoteric Warfare.
Does he the bald guy with the tash?
No, that's cool. Telok has also got. I think his hair is short as well.
One of them used to be in Cradle of Filth, or am I mistaken?
That's cool. He used to be in Cradle of Filth. But Telok is in the Dinger as well.
Yeah.
And he's been in a couple of other bands. I think None Fuck Ritual and a bunch of other bands. I'm an extraordinarily big fan of Nadinger. So I like his riff style, I like his writing style.
Yeah.
Another band that I'm a fucking huge fan of, which is why I've had the dude on the show quite a few times, Tombs. Like, if ever there's a band that speaks to me, like, I love every fucking thing about them. Everything. I think I like the kind of freewheeling approach that Mike has to writing music.
Yeah.
But there's like a real badassness to it as well. And he very much, it's a very personal band for him, I think. And he really shows off his personality in the band. Because we were talking once, and he was like, "Yeah, you got all these people in the woke movement that think you're a bad person if you eat meat. I eat meat. I lift weights." It's like he's a fucking brilliant dude.
It's great when you can gauge the personality just by the vibe of the music. I mean, you mentioned in the previous interview with Des, you definitely gauge their personality from Wolf Bastard with those fucking lyrics. You know what I mean? With the lads and stuff. And
dude, I was fucking crying when I heard those lyrics. Even I love that. I love that song
with the lads.
Yeah. But off to Stuttgart with the lads. But to do it in like a black metal style. Dude, it's one of the greatest things I've ever heard in my life.
If you ever get wasted with Des, that is completely him. Like, and but it's great when you can feel that. I mean, even in Burial, his vocal style is great, and you can feel that. And I hope that resonates with our stuff, obviously, as well, because we're just trying to pour it all out as bands should.
Yeah, he's got a killer death metal voice as well.
The thing
like this. Sorry, you were going to say?
The thing I like about Des when I've seen him singing, and it's great when he's playing an instrument. He there's no cupping of the microphone. He's not surrounding it like that. He's full open mouth, and he still manages to get them lows.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that I fucking detest more than anything in the world is fucking pig squealing.
Dude.
I mean, dude, that for me is straight away. I want to call in the snipers and say, just get next band.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. And people say there's not the same power in it. People say that there is. No, you've just got the fucking microphone PA turned up louder. Do you know what I mean? They're doing it. Breathing in exercise to a degree to get those harmonics in the vocals. I mean, it's not for me.
It just isn't. The thing is, it doesn't sound aggressive. It doesn't sound angry. It just sounds fucking moronic.
Yeah, you could, and as well, you could. Both of us could fucking wing it through a song playing it live. Wouldn't need vocal lyrics at all.
Yeah, but, It's like if we go back to Destroyer 666, you listen to a song like Tyrants or Unchain the Wolves. I mean, he's like basically he's not even growling. He's just like talking in like a snarl. I mean, that to me is fucking badass. Then came the flames. I mean, that's fucking cool. But doing the whole through every single song. I mean, fuck off for that shit, man.
Yeah,
that's not badass.
Here's the one. You talk about like old black metal and sort of, no choruses and things like that. But I mean, even when Destroyer were doing I Am the War God, that's fucking catchy. Dude, that destroys live.
Yeah.
And it's old school. It isn't for its age. You know what I mean? And any song off Cold Steel for an Iron Age, that album, I remember when I got that as a teenager and I showed it to the guys in Funeral Fan and we were like, what the hell? This is just phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? So I think the cool thing is we mentioned about the older stuff and what they've done and now how the sort of extreme the black metal scene is with these. It's almost like waves of atmosphere kind of bands and stuff like that. But there's bands that blast through that a bit more as well with that old school vibe as well. It just keeps doing circles. Do you know what I mean? But it's good because I'm not keen on when people say, "Oh, there's too many bands, there's too much stuff." That to me and the rest of the guys in the band, that's enough. That's enough fuel to try harder. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love the fact that there's 1,000,001 fucking bands, and you have to.
I agree. It creates competition. It's like everything in life. The more of something there is, the bigger the competition gets, and then that means that every single year that you do a top 20 or whatever, you're like, fuck, man, how on earth am I going to actually manage to whittle this down to 20 records? Paradise Lost is one of my favorite albums. I said to a friend of mine, bands. I said to my buddy the other day, I was like, I think for the first time since Paradise Lost have released a record, I'm not going to be able to. There's a very good chance they won't feature on my top 20 this year, just based on how many fucking cool things are coming out at the moment.
No, there's lots. I love Paradise Lost. I ain't fussed what fucking extreme metalhead turns around and says to me. He's like, I love the Host album and the 90s stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I love it all. I love all of it.
Man, I even love Believe in Nothing.
Yeah, dude. The thing is, no matter what they do, they still sound like Paradise Lost.
Yeah,
and it's a fucking strange thing. And Draconian Times is brilliant. It's just great. 1 second, it's just too many.
And to prove Greg's genius, he then decides, just to fuck around, I'll write 3 of the best death metal albums of the last decade with Valenfire. I mean, there are some fucking absolute monsters on that album.
Oh yeah.
On all 3 of those albums, I should say.
No, they are. They're really good. There was a right time for that as well, in a sense, and it was the writing and the music and the people in it, yeah, but also the sound, because they got that old death metal Swedish sound guitar tone going again.
Yeah,
and it hadn't quite been done for a while. Everybody had a break from it to a degree. There's always bands coming out like it, but from I presume what we'd all sort of, we're all on at that moment, and all of a sudden it was enough poke through from them to go, oh, this is fresh in a way. Sam Kelly used the guitar for them. I'm friends with him, and he's really supportive of Master's Call as well. It's really cool. So it's like I was saying, it's just something about that right time, but Paradise Lost as well. It's like whatever they touch, I even love their pop covers. I'm sorry, but
yeah, me too. They did. I saw them open for Danzig last year. Well, actually, no, it was the year before, and they did Small Town Boy, and I was like, that's just fucking brilliant.
Dude, don't get me started on Danzig. I've got the old Danzig skull tattoo right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so here's a question for you. Have you seen that fucking bullshit movie of his?
I've not seen that yet. No.
Bro, it is the worst thing. I mean, I love Danzig, and I'm one of those Danzig fans where I was a fan from the very first record. I liked Black Acid Devil. I think 666 Satan's Child is a great record, and
for the
Fair might actually be my favorite Danzig record.
Yeah,
but good God, I mean, the Elvis covers album and this fucking movie. That's a step too far, even for a diehard like me.
I haven't. I've checked out a few of the Elvis covers. It's
atrocious, mate. It's fucking atrocious.
Yeah, I've checked. You kind of crashed. Oh no, you're good. Sorry. Yeah, I've checked them out, and it's one of them things to me. Like we've all been waiting for it for like a while. Just do it, even if it sounds shit. It's like, okay, you've done it now, Glenn. Get it out of your system. You've done it. Just fucking move on. But I haven't seen the film yet. No.
Yeah, no. The film, mate, is it's fucking terrible. It's like, think about if you think of the worst possible, most low rent piece of shit that you would see on the horror channel.
Well, like fucking Brain Dead. Worse. No, Brain Dead's good, but like
yeah. Well, Brain Dead's so bad it's good. No, mate, Brain Dead is Oscar material in comparison to this garbage. I do like that Danzig tattoo though. Who gave you that?
Oh, the Danzig tattoo. It was a previous partner of mine, working partner, because I was a tattooist myself, and but yeah, it was years ago when I was working with him, and then we parted ways. But yeah. But yeah,
I was going to ask you that actually, because I saw that you've got your own shop, Redline.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I've had to let that go at the moment because of obviously all of the situation. Because the lockdown and everything like that. So I'm doing other work at the moment, which is keeping things going, which I'm enjoying. But I'm going to be getting back on the tattooing as soon as everything just chills out a little bit. So, do you know what I mean? With the situation and all this coronavirus.
And was it directly because of the coronavirus that you needed to close up shop?
I had no choice. I was fortunate enough to get some more work just before the lockdown came, which has seen me through, and it's I'm going to stick with this other work as well, which is it's really cool, like care training and things like that. But I'm really enjoying it for care homes. But it was kind of the nail in the coffin, the lockdown. Do you know what I mean? Not having the best landlord at the shop as well. But yeah,
shit, man. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. That really fucking sucks.
In a way, cheers for saying that. In a way, it was. It's been quite a good thing because it's got rid of a lot of things that I necessarily didn't need. You know what I mean? In my life, and it's kind of simplified things now, which is really good. It's just simplified everything. I'm still doing the same things, and once the lockdown's over and everybody gets back to a bit more of a steady pace. I'm still going to be doing these things, but they're just a little less heavier on my shoulders. So it's good.
Yeah. I remember when I moved to the UK in 2002, I had it in my head to do to be a carer as well, because originally the plan was to be here for 2 years of my working holiday and then fuck off back home. Yeah. And I heard, you can make loads of money working as a carer. So I remember my phone interview.
Yeah.
At one point, the woman says to me, "Well, sir, you know that some of these patients are incontinent."
Don't listen to death metal.
No. So some of these patients are incontinent, and you may be required to clean them from time to time. That was the fucking fastest I've ever hung up a phone in my life.
Well, I'll let you know, I'm not actually. I am training people. I'm not actually doing that. I am training. I'm training people and providing care training to the people that do that.
Dude, the thing is, hands up to anybody who's willing to do that. It's
No, of course.
I think the elderly need to be looked after.
I'm not knocking that at all. I totally understand. Hands up to everybody that does that.
But as soon as she said that, I was like, fuck this shit. I'd rather fucking play guitar on the street corner and bust for money.
You put that phone down pretty sharpish.
Yeah, very much so. Right, listen, brother, we've been at it now for about an hour and 15, so I'm going to let you go. But an absolute blast talking to you. We are 1,000% going to have to do it again at some point, because I suspect we probably have a good couple of hours more in us.
I appreciate it, and thanks for all the kind words. And it's about the band stuff, and it's a pleasure talking to you. So. Yeah,
dude. What first, and who knows, possibly only band where I heard a demo and I was so blown away. I had to get you guys on. So I can't fucking wait to hear what you do next. And when this nonsense lifts, we need to meet up somewhere and have a couple of beers.
Dude, I'll be down at UK Death Fest playing with Dietus if you go into that, or I'll send you some links and things. You know what I mean? I'll send you some stuff. We'll hook up, and I'll get you a T-shirt, a Master's Call, something sent over if you want one. No problem.
Love it. Yeah, I love it. I was just about when you mentioned the Master's Call T-shirt, I already went online to go see what they look like. I would, I'd love one, man.
Don't worry, we'll sort you one out, no problem. Thanks for all the kind words. Pleasure talking to you.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
See you later.
Thank you so much to John from Master's Call for spending some time with me and for a really, really fun conversation. I just played you another track by Master's Call off their Morbid Black Trinity demo. The song is called The Spire Cranes. And then earlier in the podcast, I played a track off of the second Funeral Throne record. The album is called Threshold. And the song that I played is called Through Transforming Fire. And, I mentioned that they are criminally underrated. I hold my hands up there as well. It wasn't until Derek from Burial actually mentioned them to me on the podcast that he and I did that I checked them out. And, man, I was not disappointed. Really, really fucking cool band. And I do hope that John will do something with them again at some point in the future. But either way, big things on the horizon for him. And I'm pretty sure that if Master's Call don't get signed in the next year or so, then I expect to see the end of all record labels as we know it. Because, the fact that they're not signed yet, in my opinion, means that a couple of A&R guys at labels have really fucking dropped the ball. They are a fantastic band. Speaking of fantastic bands, The Committee, they've just put out a record called Utopian Deception. The album is out on Falter Records. It's actually their third album, and I must confess, I was not familiar with their previous two. So they put out one in 2014 called Power Through Unity, and they put out another one in 2017 called Memorandum Occultus. Utopian Deception, if you look at the album cover and you look at the band's name, it kind of, I said this on Instagram when I posted about this album over the weekend. I think most people might mistake this for an art rock or like a noise rock band. They are anything but. The lyrics are quite contemporary and probably quite relevant given the social unrest and upheaval that is playing out all around us. But musically, this is fucking badass, violent, riff-orientated black metal from start to finish. They break it up here and there with some really cool acoustic interludes, and it's not kind of a blasting Panzer Division Marduk type black metal, but what it is a band that has probably quite a bit in common with Mugwa, with Inquisition, and with black metal generally that I love. I like the production very much. It's really kind of thick and sludgy. I think the performances across the board are fucking excellent. I think this is 45 minutes of prime modern black metal that you definitely need to check out. This is a track off of Utopian Deception. It is called Awakening Unimaginable. Awakening Unimaginable by the Committee of Utopian Deception. And as I said, that record is available now on Falter Records. It came out on the 29th of May, and it is a very strong contender for my top 20 of this year. I said this, I can't remember whether I mentioned this on the other, on one of the previous episodes. But as many of you know, Paradise Lost is one of my absolute favorite bands, and I said this to a friend of mine the other day. I actually think this might be the first time in a while that Paradise Lost have brought out a record which could possibly not make it into my top 20, purely off the back of the fact that what has come out this year has been nothing short of fucking spectacular. And standing at the very peak of that has been black metal coming out of Iceland. There have been so many good releases coming out of Iceland this year. It is ridiculous. Hellfro, Carpe Noctem, Almirkmi, and now Nexion, I should say. They've just put out a record called Seven Oracles, which is 7 tracks of the fucking grimmest, most aggressive and abrasive black metal that I have heard this side of the last Deathspell Omega record. It's out now on Avant-Garde Music. It's again 46 minutes long, so perfect time for an album, and I absolutely adore this. It is atmospheric. It's filled with a lot of very memorable tracks. So one of the things that I've mentioned before as being a massive bugbear of mine is when an album just goes by in kind of one continuous drone, or when there's kind of so much of one thing, whether it's blasting or whether it's kind of doom or whatever the case may be, that as much as you might enjoy the experience of listening to the album, you don't actually remember anything afterwards. The difference on Seven Oracles is that Nexion, really, really focus on crafting each individual song and make sure that each individual song is self-contained. And then that's all wrapped up in a production effort that is, it's kind of lo-fi enough to be grim, and it's high fidelity enough to sound really, really great. So this is one of my favorite tracks off of Seven Oracles. It is called Divine Wind and Holocaust Clouds. That was Nexion with Divine Winds and Holocaust Clouds off of their spectacular new record, Seven Oracles. It is available on Avant-Garde Music, and I will post the link to that in the description of this video. Yeah, I think on most of the podcast services that I put the audio version of this up, it actually does have the links in the notes as well, so you can check that out. And as I said, definitely an album worth looking into. Especially if you're into the vast majority of what I tend to talk about and play on the show. Right, let's do some news. And the first thing that we're going to be talking about coming off of Metal Storm is the new Panzerfaust record. So I myself am a extraordinarily big fan of Panzerfaust, even though, in the interest of full disclosure, they did big time me a little bit. They were supposed to come on the show, and we kind of arranged or went back and forth with messages. Had a week in mind, and then all of a sudden, I got the silent treatment for reasons I don't know. But either way, it doesn't matter. These guys are absolutely fucking killer. The Sons of Perdition Chapter 1, the record that they put out last year, was amazing. The new record is called The Sons of Perdition Chapter 2, Render Unto Eden. If you heard the previous track that they put out, I mean, I am so excited about this. I can barely contain myself. It's kind of exactly, the sequel that you would have expected from Sons of Perdition. So the dark atmosphere is still there, but the same sort of brutal, unhinged, just craziness from Chapter 1 is there too. So I am fucking excited about this, and who knows? Maybe after that album is out, they will have a change of heart and come onto the show. Moving swiftly on, the next bit of news: Exodus entering recording studio in September. Like I said, Marco and I have been talking about doing a thrash special. I'm wondering whether Exodus would make it onto my top 10. I do like Bonded by Blood very much, and I think if you're into metal and you don't, get down to a bit of Toxic Waltz, you're fucking false, and you should hand in your metal credentials. But whether or not I'm massively excited about a new Exodus record, I don't know. But I'll certainly be interested to give it a listen. What else is there to report? Primitive Man to release Immersion in August. I don't know why people are so fucking high on this band. It might be one of those things like Today is the Day where it took me quite a long time to get into them. But I listened to the track that Relapse put out for this, and it just felt like it was a load of fucking dragging nonsense to me. But I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. For now, however, I do believe that there's a lot of other stuff that I would listen to in a heartbeat over Primitive Man, and Silence is one of them. Brilliant. Machine Head, new 2-track digital single out. Firstly, I don't know whether anybody has heard this track, Stop the Bleeding. It sounds like a song that In Flames wrote in 1996, and they said, you know what, we've got 13 tracks already, and this just really sounds very pedestrian, so we'll leave this on the studio floor. But the other thing about this song, and about the lyrics, and the music video, and all of Rob's fucking stupid diary entries and posts and all these crap ever since, is this is basically like the metal equivalent of the I Take Responsibility video. The one where all the celebrities are staring into the camera, reading off the teleprompter, going on about how they take responsibility for racism. This is literally exactly that. And one of the things that I have discerned in looking at any of the recent interviews that have come out with Rob Flynn is that this fucking moron's inflated air of self-importance is most it's most immediately visible in the way that he speaks. So what I mean by that is, if you look at the I Take Responsibility video, all the guys all the celebrities that are talking are speaking as much as they're reading off a teleprompter. They're speaking in these really slow, deliberate words, almost as if they expect that in years to come the history books will quote them. And this fucking fool is doing exactly the same thing. Like any interview that you read with him, or any interview that you watch with him, I should say, it's the same thing. He always speaks really slow, so that the rest of you can soak in my virtue and my greatness. Me, Rob Flynn. What a fucking jackass. And as I said, it'd be one thing if the music was any good, but fucking hell, man. Music is dreadful. That band did 2 good albums. First 2 albums, absolutely spectacular. Classics, no doubt about it. After that, it was all downhill for that band. And now the best you can get out of him is an interview where he goes, I spent all those years ago touring with Pantera, waiting for the day that I could call Phil Anselmo a racist. On a much more positive note, Inhumate, grindcore band out of France. I remember when Inhumate sent me their demo when I was writing for Chronicles of Chaos, and I thought it was fucking brilliant. So I'm looking forward to hearing what these guys do next. I didn't actually realize that they were still going, but good for them. And yeah, man, I'll look forward to hearing what they do next. Samael recruit new bassist. I wish that they would recruit new songwriters because, you know, there was a time in my life when Passage was probably one of my favorite albums of all time, and I actually could even fuck with some of the stuff that came out later. But as I've grown older and I've grown a little bit more salty and seasoned, the only records of theirs now that I can put up with are Blood Ritual and Ceremony of Opposites, both of which I think are absolutely fantastic. But beyond that, almost everything they've done after is so cheesy and just, I don't know. There's like an air of patheticness about it. I don't know how to describe it. It sounds like music written by men who have switched to soy milk. It's just fucking terrible. Right, I think that's pretty much it. Aversio Humanitatis, upcoming album streaming in full. As I said at the top of the hour, I'm going to be talking to Simon from Aversio Humanitatis next week, and it was a very fun conversation. And that Aversio Humanitatis album is another one that will be in serious contention for making my prestigious top 20 of 2020. Moving on, Cataclysm to release Unconquered album in the fall. Another incredibly overrated band. They're a bit like who's that fucking dogshit band? Their name escapes me now. I'm sure I'll think about it in a second. But Belphegor, that's the band. Where it's like they can make the heaviest music that I'm sure they could imagine on the planet, and it would still sound fucking weak as shit. I don't know what it is. It's just some bands have the ability to make like playing a single chord sound menacing and nasty and grim, and other bands can throw in all the blast beats and the breakdowns and the heavy production and the chugging and screaming and growling and fucking anything that they want. They just sound like wank. Machine Head, which is back on there again, prime example. They made 2 records where they were convincing, everything else total shit. However, I will give him his due. This is one thing I agree with Rob Flynn about. Drive-in concerts are the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. On that, we can agree, my homeless-looking friend. What else is there? AC/DC jigsaw puzzles. I might get that. There was a real dearth of 2 things when the coronavirus lockdown started. One was jigsaw puzzles. One was weights. I ran into one of the trainers that works at the gym that I go to, and he was saying that they may reopen again in July. And I'm telling you this right now, that cannot happen fucking any sooner. I look like like 5 pounds of shit stuffed in a 10-pound bag. System of a Down, Surge Tankian. We can no longer withstand stupid leadership. What an complete and utter douche. By the way, I've been scrolling past a couple of Lamb of God articles. The new Lamb of God came out on Friday. I'm not going to... sorry, and I'm being fucking irritated here with a bunch of shit on my phone. But I'm not going to review the new Lamb of God because, one, I don't think people that are into this show necessarily, care too much about that. But secondly, I know that the episode will undoubtedly be blocked on copyright grounds. But the point that I wanted to make is I've been quite vocal in my support for Chris Adler as a drummer. I don't know whether any of you guys heard that Firstborn project that he was busy with or that he's put out. Oh my fuck! It's a load of shit. It sounds like I'm gonna see if I can find a track, one of the songs actually. It sounds like Weird Al Yankovic put out a fucking started a metal band. Hold on, let me find this. Just the lyrics are the worst thing ever. It's like a 10-year-old wrote them. They said, there we go. No? Oh, so apparently there's another band called Firstborn. There we go, Firstborn Anthem. And obviously they have the completely original imagery of the Statue of Liberty burning. Yay. But just have a listen to this and listen to these lyrics. And tell me that this was written by someone with the intellect higher, or the intellect of a 5-year-old, a marginally gifted 5-year-old. I mean, the riffing is absolutely atrocious. So far, that sounds about as badass as a Steel Panther song. Although Steel Panther is actually funny. But listen to this crap. Such a complete and utter pile of fucking crap. And the worst thing is, I see the thumbs down vastly outnumbers the thumbs up. Not vastly, but outnumbers it anyway. But yeah, total nonsense. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here that's worth talking about. Nothing whatsoever. So on that note, although wait, hold on. Exodus's Gary Holt defends baby metal against criticism from metal purists. I don't know really why. I mean, I don't like baby metal's music, and I don't think it's true cult or necro to be flouncing around on stage in K-pop outfits. But at the same time, if you like it, you like it. I've never gotten that whole thing of guilty pleasures. I'm not guilty about anything I like. I like music of all kinds. There's some 80s pop that I like. There's some old school hip hop that I like. There's singer-songwriter stuff that I like. I fucking sing Cat Stevens to my daughter before she goes to bed. I don't feel guilty about any of it. So the concept of guilty pleasure is for people that are fucking pussies and can't admit what they like publicly. So if you like baby metal, go ahead, wear their t-shirts and be loud and proud about it. As I said the other day, I woke up and for the first time ever in my life, I had this just completely irresistible urge to listen to Kiss. I've never had that before, and I enjoyed every single second of it. Speaking of which, I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with John, and I hope you will tune in again next week when, as I've said, I'm going to be talking to Simon, better known by his stage name as S, of Aversio Humanitatis. We're going to be talking about the new record. We're going to be talking about the scene in Spain, and really, really fun conversation. And then in 2 weeks' time, Remember that conversation with Alex of Ruins of Beverast will be coming your way, and then who knows what else I have in store. So in the meantime, I hope that you all are keeping safe and healthy from the mean streets of Surbiton on the outskirts of London. I am wishing you all a fond farewell.